Here we are mid-May, and the Tigers are 2 games out of first. So, you know, okay, is it a story? Well, yeah, it's a story. It's a story because Cleveland's nothing special. Cleveland, through 40 games, is a 500 baseball team. The Tigers are slightly worse than that, 2 games worse than that. The real story here is Cleveland, okay? And that's fine. But the Tigers might be amongst a handful of teams that could be there if Cleveland is a stunner and not very good. If I had to bet my life savings right now on who wins the American League Central, I would feel comfortable betting on the Cleveland Indians, okay? I want to state that up front. But with the Tigers 2 games back, they play tonight to move to a game out. For whatever's going on here, how much of it is because of Ron Gardenhire? That's question 1. Question 2 is 2 games back in May, Detroit responds with mostly this, although we did get an actual baseball call early in the show with somebody complaining about the lineup, which tells you that they're being analyzed as a baseball team. We're not talking about Candelaria and what he's going to be in 3 years from now. We're not talking about trying to dump contracts at the trade deadline. We're talking about showing evidence that we care of what happens on, you know, a Tuesday night here in May because of what the lineup's going to be. But when will it matter that they're 2 games out? We asked this question via Twitter early in the day. Does it matter in June if they're 2 games out? Does it matter in July if they're 2 games out? Does it matter to you in August if they're 2 games out? Will you only start to care if we get to September and they're 2 games out? And by care, we mean you deem them in a race. Gator, when will you deem them as being in a quote-unquote race if they're still 2 games out and the calendar turns to what month?
I have to be consistent here, and I've been talking about this 31-game stretch that started with the series against the Mariners over the weekend. And that 31-game stretch ends June 10th, and it ends with a series against the Indians. So I'm going to say at that point, like when we wake up on June 11th, on that Monday, Tigers have a day off, and we'll see where they are in the standings at that point, just to be consistent with what I've said all along about this 31-game stretch. Because I think they're going to be way out of it when we get to that point. I hope they're not. I'm a fan. I watch every game. I love it. Go to a lot of the games. I love it. And I want them to succeed. But, you know, my head is telling me that that's not going to be the case.
The most popular answer by far from the people, well, let's run them down month by month. 2% say June. 2% say June. It'll matter. They'll be in a race if they're 2 games out in June, which is only 2 weeks and change away. 21% say they'll be in a race if they're still only 2 games back in July. 46% say August. And 31% say they will be in a race if they're 2 games back come September. So there's a long time before we get some buy-in. From Drewski, 881, never. Why even pull? There's no chance at the playoffs.
Oh, boy.
From Robert, never. Nothing else to talk about than a team 4 games under 500 on May 15th. Making the playoffs. Come on. Nobody's saying making the playoffs.
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
What else we got here? It'd be post All-Star break. That's from another one. From DC, June of 2020. From Mark, stop. They're beating bad teams. Nobody's here is making any claims of anything.
Which is by the way, is my whole point of the 31-game stretch, because that's when they start playing not bad teams. And they're off to a pretty good start. And they're 3-1 during this stretch of games where I deem they're a lot tougher than what they saw in the first half.
For people who get upset about this question even being asked, then that's fine. But to me, it's about the psychology of the fan. How does the fan approach this season? We got a text from a guy earlier that said, hey, you know what, guys? In fact, we got several texts that said, I'm enjoying this baseball season because this team Doesn't feel like it's letting people down. One guy said, I'm having fun watching this group of young players. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. When we brought this up the first hour, you said, okay, let's say they keep this up, and Cleveland really does suck, okay? Because that's the biggest X factor here is if Cleveland wakes up and starts acting like Cleveland, although their bullpen's been awful. But, the Tigers just snapped, what was an 11-game losing streak against the Indians?
Yes.
So if Cleveland never wakes up and here are the Tigers come trade deadline close, do we buy or sell? We both said the same thing. Sell. You sell. Because even if you win the American League Central as a 500 team, which I'm pretty sure has never happened. I went back and looked it up, and the worst team I could see making the playoffs in a non-strike year was the Padres made the playoffs once at 82-80. Now, St. Louis was an 83-win team in 2006 that went on to win the World Series. I would not operate from a standpoint of an 83-win team. If you win as a 500 team, you got a shot. So I'd still sell. Yeah,
going back in 2016, the Tigers that went to the World Series, actually, that was a pretty good time. I thought they were going to be worse than that, but they won 195 games that year. Really?
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty good. Never mind.
But with that said, how much of what you see going on do you attribute to Ron Gardenhire?
Well, I attribute a lot to it, to Ron Gardenhire. It's a different attitude. The players respond to him. He's a guy who has a wealth of experience, and it's what we saw when he was with the Minnesota Twins. Inexperienced teams that he made winners. They had some good players there, to be sure. I mean, they did have a couple MVP guys there in Morneau and Mauer, and they had Johan Santana for a time. And, the Liriano, when he first came up and was great when he first started in the league. But he also had teams that had given guys a chance. And the way they played was pretty fundamentally sound. I expect the Tigers by the second half of the season to be very fundamentally sound. We've seen them make some mistakes. I don't think we're going to see Dixon Machado make that many more mistakes at second base like we saw last night or like you saw in the game in Texas. I think the base running errors have I don't think it's anywhere near what we saw under Ausmus. Maybe that's just attributed to Ian Kinsler being out in California now, but
not getting picked off.
Right. But that was a big part of it. And I like that he's aggressive. He doesn't want to take away the aggressiveness of the aggressive nature of the players. He is absolutely patting guys on the back like Jacoby Jones, saying, just be who you are, man. You're an athlete. You can steal bases. Yeah, steal bases. You can score on a base hit to right, or at least make it interesting. If you're on first base and the base hit to right, that they're going to make a decision. I mean, you've got speed to kill. Do it. Make something happen.
248-539-9797, ticket text 97136. Here's what we're not going to deny is Tiger fans who want to talk about their team an opportunity to do so. So get your calls in. When will the 2 games back thing matter to you? What month would it matter to you? Because it doesn't resonate much with Detroiters now. I got a question about the Lions we'll get to today at 12:35. Gator, there was something out there that I called for Michigan to do. And I'm talking about the University of Michigan. And they're doing exactly that. We'll get to that today at 12:20. 97.1 The Ticket.